Hey guys, it's Big Will Dog 82 back at you already. And today I thought I'd focus on the one thing that I think can make or break a good start to seeds or garlic as I'm getting this all ready for, and that is castings. Now, one point in time, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I started my worm bin with outside worms. I started it with a bunch of stuff that I wasn't sure because, to tell you the truth, this is my first full year having a successful bin. I started mine out in a bin basically with the double stacked 5-gallon pails, just like that. Those aren't the ones I'm reusing those, but after I had a very severe death of my worm bin, I realized I needed to try something different. So instead of going vertical, which was my main deal because there was just too much moisture down the bottom of the buckets, I reset. Somebody was able to gift me some of these totes that they use for, I believe, school supplies. And then I refreshed my bin into the following. So on top, we've got my plastic to keep the moisture down, and it, believe it or not, stops condensation from being on here because the worms were trying to get out all the time because of that. But we take this off. I just recently added some cocoa cord to the top. And then you go down just a little bit, and here they are. Well, you might not see them because I've got a watermelon here, and there's another watermelon that's over here too. Now, what I went ahead and did off camera for you guys is I took off the dirt that was on top of this watermelon rind, just so we can try to get a peek at all the little worm friends down here doing their jobs. So let's see. There we go. They're all up in there, working, chewing, making wonderful castings. Now let me put them back to bed, cover them back up, like so, and let them continue. And to tell you the truth, a lot of these castings, see, these were the castings that were on the bottom that they already ate and were spent through and were trying to get out of. I mean, really, once they get done with that watermelon, I'm likely to go ahead and harvest this bin again. And then when I do, I tend to separate it and sift it. So this is the majority of what I get, which is nice, fine, and I'll use that just liberally in my my raised bed, my ground beds, all my pots and everything, of even finely sifted worms castings. And these ones, I believe, were my 1/8 of an inch castings that I'd pull out of there, which are super fine. If you're able to see that, they're like really super fine, clean. I've got no worms, there's no eggs, there's no nothing in there. And what I will use that super fine stuff for is my carrots, for the most part. So I tend to grow things in all kinds of containers. Like, for instance, cat litter box, I've got holes drilled into it. Then I will fill it with my own blend of, it's cocoa core, peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, and a lot of my own compost, which I'm going to be showing you guys here in just a moment as well, because I've got some fun things out there that I like to do that helps out with with just the reliably growing stuff on my end. The thing I also did was I doubled it up because I was having moisture issues, which I'm not sure if anybody else with worm bins would do this, but again, this is my channel, so I'll do it whatever I want, is this top bucket here has holes. I think I've got 8 holes drilled into the very bottom. And then in the bottom here is where I put some more bedding down that's moisturized. It's got some, azomite I put in there. And from time to time, I will just let them migrate, and they'll migrate down in here. And by time this gets full of the worms pulling stuff down from the top, I can take this out, just like so. I lift it out. And I don't know if you can necessarily make it out. No, not really. We'll just cut that. Take it out, and down below, it's nice and it's moist. And like I said, I just reset this bottom here, so there's probably no worms in there yet. But, you know, it's a start. All right, right now you're gonna venture out with me to where my compost starts. It's nothing it's nothing elaborate. It's actually pretty simple. So that is this bin here, and it's just made out of that high-end weed fabric, around 4 stakes. I've threaded through some wire through to keep it rigid at the top. And right now, I don't know how good you're gonna be able to see it. Right now, I'm taking all the scraps from the garden that I'm tearing down and just adding it into here. I'm not planning or worried about how much it composts now because we're going into winter here and stuff. That's just tomatoes that I've just cut off all the leaves and stuff on there. So yeah, that'll sit once it's completely filled. I'm not completely done pulling plants out yet, but it will soon be completely filled. It will sit over winter, and then the first in the spring is when I will go get my load of horse manure. I will have bagged leaves, which I'm gonna need to do some of that soon because I've got bags in the garage. And then that's when I'll start my spring compost. Okay, now we're moving over here to where I actually keep my compost. So after it's had about usually 3 to 4 months of hot composting and me flipping it and then restacking it back into my worm bin or my compost bin, I then move it over into 1 of 2 trash cans. They typically will fill 1 full trash can per load of finished compost, and I bring it over on the side of my house where I keep some leaves that are making leaf mold for various reasons. But let me show you the compost as it's sitting right now. I've got my lid. There's some, I believe that's just from one of my pots. I like to get the roots out and dig it all out. This lid is just to keep it from blowing away. This is for moisture. And then this is my compost. Now, right now, this has only been over here for maybe a month or so. And the reason I bring it over here is because all this leaf mold that I have, that this is what, a year's worth of leaf mold that was up to here. But I like to wrap it around this first initial trash can because the leaf mold has a lot of worms that are in here. Everything's too heavy for me to move it. But anyways, I've got holes drilled throughout the can. And on the bottom, I have 2, I don't know, nice size holes, which promotes the worms to come into the trash can. Here we are over at the second trash can, and I will call this step 2. That the compost on the other side of the house being step 1, and this is step 2 to my maturing process. when I transfer over the leaf mold from that side, I usually will do it one of two ways. I will use either a 5-gallon bucket and just move it 5 gallons at a time if I'm having a day where I just physically can't hold up, or I will put it on a tarp and bring it over, which is one of my little hacks that I will show you in a video coming up soon. But going back to the compost, I fill it back into here, and where it'll, again, this will be the very first one of my trash cans that I will use, because this is my spring compost, and I call the other one my fall compost. And in here, it's way more broken down and granular, thanks to all the worms that we picked up from the other side, from the leaf mold. And usually I don't have to go very far before there's worms, before I get some of my little worm buddies here enriching this compost for me. He's right there. And there's this buddy there's another one right here. So yeah, and it stays nice and it stays moist. And once again, we've got the holes around the side for ventilation, so it doesn't get stagnant in there. There's bigger holes in the bottom of there. And then this lid here, just make sure nothing gets in there, because I have birds. I've got a very serious bird problem. Guys, here we are back in the garage, and I was just going to show you what I use to sift out the stage 1 compost before I feed it to my worm bin. So here we have a 1/2-inch hardware cloth on just a scrap wood type sifter that I built. It fits right over top of these totes that I have here nicely, makes sure all the compost goes in there. And then after that, I will sift it through this 1/4-inch sifter. And then, just to make sure that there's no latent worms at all or cocoons, I will then sift it through this 1/8-inch sifter. This is also the same sifter I use for my carrots when they're ready to go. Here, let me sit you guys down so I can sit down and have a talk without moving around. So I'll also use that for my carrots. Like I said, which makes a beautiful soil that's not compacted, which gives me nice straight carrots thanks to my worms. All right, with that, I guess we got another Big Wheel Dog video out of the way. Talk about the soil. It starts there, man. If you have any tips, advice that you think you could help me or anybody else that's maybe dealing with the same situation, easier on them, please let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe to the video, I would be very appreciative. And if you think you know somebody who has issues where you think content like this would help them be able to get out in the sun and enjoy things, please let them know. All right, thanks again. Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and I'm out.